Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at, basically how the Super Dragon Ball Heroes team does in the Ultimate Red Zone Broly. So this is a pretty interesting one. I think for a lot of players, Broly is obviously one of the defining bosses of how hard content can get in Dokkan battle. You've got the initial phase, but then you've got the quite challenging strength AoE phase, which I think a lot of players struggle with. You've got the pretty challenging like AGL phase where Broly can super more than once. So there's a lot of obvious reasons for Broly being touted as one of the hardest, if not the hardest bosses in Dokkan. I think for most players, Broly will always remain one of the hardest bosses until they bring out new content. I think there's a debate about whether he's the hardest boss, obviously barring Cell Max, where kind of things are a little bit different, when you talk about Cell Max. But yes, generally speaking, I think Broly is considered one of the hardest bosses in the game. So that's obviously one of the things I think that a lot of players focus on. Overall, for me at least, I think Broly is pretty tough. I would rank him probably joint hardest Red Zone boss alongside Metal Cooler Core. I think is the current debate about hardest Red Zone boss. But yeah, we're going to be trying the Super Dragon Ball Heroes team. Super Dragon Ball Heroes being obviously the quite new team that got revamped. A lot of people are talking about how good the team actually is. So I thought, hey, let's use this as an excuse to take a look at them. We can see how a couple of the units do overall. Are they any good? Are they bad? And kind of get a good feel for them as a team. I think a lot of people always comment about how difficult or how good a unit is, and I thought we'd have a pretty good kind of look at the team and really where the team's kind of lying. So yeah, for me, if I can speak honestly, I think the team is pretty good. I personally like the Dragon Ball Heroes team a lot. I do think they need dupes. I think that's something I will agree quite a lot with people on. They do need dupes, especially to look really good. I mean, you can use them at 55%, but I think as a team, if you have a dupe, at least the first dupe in all of them, I think they then are much more aligned with what we think they should be. A classic example is Goku. I think Goku, everyone kind of saw as this first slot tank, this kind of big tanky unit that can soak up all of the damage. It doesn't appear to be the case as much as we thought, which is a little bit of a shame, obviously. But to be honest, Goku is still a very, very strong defensive unit. So it's not like he's unusable or anything like that, but he is obviously much better with dupes in him. With dupes in him, he looks really good, really strong. Obviously, just to kind of recap them all a little bit, Goku, very strong unit, has that 30% damage reduction when there are other Dragon Ball Heroes or other full power superclass category allies in the team. I think most people will agree that he looks pretty good overall. So yeah, Goku looks really solid. I think Vegeta, who's kind of his not antithesis but his running mate, Vegeta looks pretty good as well. Vegeta being a unit that fires additional super attacks is always really solid, and he fires additional super attacks. He can build up that defense pretty nicely. Both of them have really solid defense after super, but a kind of debatable defense before super. Both are really solid offensively though, so I do really like how the team is offensively. Personally, for me, I think they look really good. I think Vegeta looks solid. I think Goku looks solid. Both their defense is really not a question, for me at least. I think their defense is good enough. Obviously, you're going to see Goku take some damage I think it's unavoidable. Rainbow Goku level 10 links takes considerably less damage. It's one of those things. The rest of the team is pretty good though. You've got Xeno SS3 Goku, who now he is a very good tank. Obviously damage reduction based on how many Dragon Ball heroes are on the team, but also just has that guard against all types. Again, with a dupe, he looks a lot better than without a dupe. I think that's obvious, but again, to each their own. You can't always, how can I say, have the best of both worlds. So I think a lot of the heroes units you're going to find need that, need those dupes. They need that extra bit of stats just to kind of really look dominant, but they're all very good. Goku, again, unit that gains a lot of super after, or defense after super. I think that's kind of the one constant thing I will say about the heroes team. That feeling of like, oh, they need to, they gain defense after super. They gain defense after super. They gain defense after super. It's not that it's like, impossible to use them before super, but it feels like, even with the units that have damage reduction or guard, or multiple methods of like reduction in damage, they still need to super to get a significant portion of their defense. And for a lot of players, this limits team building a lot, because obviously most players want to at least have the ability to, like, not basically have to rely on their units to super. It is quite preventative. Alongside them though, we do have Gohan, SS4 Gohan, pretty solid. Obviously his only major restriction being the fact that he has to have some great ape units on his team, but generally speaking I think he does quite well as a tank. We've got SS4 Bardock. SS4 Bardock now is probably one of the least tankiest units. I think, with even 2 dupes, Bardock needs to super twice to be able to handle the heat from some red zone bosses, and against Broly with type disadvantage, he's really not going to do well. But with that being said, his damage is always very impressive, and I think it's always good to evaluate units and take them into content where, yes, they're maybe not at their absolute best, but it's just interesting to see how well he does. So yeah, overall, I do think the team is really good. I just think you need dupes. A lot of the crucial units here don't have dupes. Xeno SS3 Goku with a dupe, Goku SS4 with a dupe, Vegeta SS4 with a dupe. All of these would help out quite dramatically in terms of performance if we had a dupe with them. It's not, like I said, it's not that they're not usable in any way, shape or form. It's just that they are distinctly not maybe at their best without those dupes. So it is something that you do need to be aware of. It's something that you do need to always factor in, and I think a lot of players maybe don't like that. We're rounding out the team with Golden Cooler, who I think is probably one of the best supports in the game. I personally think he now suits his role incredibly well. So him having this damage reduction, the scaling defense after super, all of this stuff tends to help him a lot. Like, he looks very impressive after like a certain number of super attacks. Obviously there's always the risk that he doesn't get the crucial super attacks that he does need, but generally speaking I find him to look pretty good. At least for me, I think he looks really nice, like with alongside other heroes units, of course. He's also quite unconditional. He doesn't need specifically anything to look that good. You don't need like 8 heroes units to make him look good. He just does function better with heroes units. Now the Extreme Heroes team, that's a team that I think really does look good. For me at least, it looks very solid. A lot of players I think will appreciate the Extreme Heroes team. I think it tends to carry a lot of weight, especially if you have Golden Metal Cooler. Golden Metal Cooler, I think, is one of the few true first slot tanks that the Heroes teams have. So he can look really impressive, and I think that's something for me that obviously helps the Extreme side team. It's a shame that obviously there are banner units, which means a lot of players are going to have to either dig in deep or try and source the unit elsewhere in future. But yeah, overall, I would say pretty good stuff. I like the team. I think they do well. They do need dupes, but I think overall you're gonna have a pretty decent time. But yeah, that's it from me. See you next time. Bye.